Mama Sue, we have been keeping one thing a secret from you, and Liz is going to bring it in now. This is our Black Friday exclusive, and just know this is the first time anyone's ever seen it in person. So, big surprise. Liz, let's do the honors. There's no official packaging. This is no, I honestly didn't even watch it either.
I love.
That's why I'm excited.
Oh my goodness, great.
See?
Lid.
Attention to details.
This is
and it
perfect.
matches.
Perfect. Oh my goodness.
Awesome. Well, I think that is a thumbs up.
2 thumbs.
Okay.
2 thumbs.
Okay. Welcome to the Y'all Sweet Tea Facebook page. We are shooting our first ever podcast with the famous superstar, Facebook icon, cooking legend, a baking extraordinaire. That is Mama Sue. And we don't even know the name for our podcast yet. This is episode 1. We're glad to have you. My name's Darian. Y'all have seen me on some videos.
My name's Brandon. You've seen me on a few videos, but a lot of times behind the camera.
And you've seen Mama Sue on a lot of videos. You are the baking extraordinaire, Mama Sue. Thank you for doing our first ever podcast.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I can't believe you did.
I know, it's exciting. And so we just showed all of the new things that we've been working on. The only thing we can't talk about on this podcast is our Black Friday surprise. But let's start off talking with the thing that we just launched today, which is the glass jars.
The tea is my favorite thing. Well, I love the coffee too. But, and I do use the spices. But this may be my favorite, and I'll tell you why. I use mason jars all the time.
Yeah.
Now, we're using them to drink out of. A lot of people do that, but I do a lot of canning, and I plan to use mine tomorrow.
Yeah, I know.
Tomorrow, but these are so unique. It has y'all sweet tea, and I love Hayden, Alabama.
Yep. I think that's cool for us. Like, we're in a small town.
Yeah.
We wanted to make sure we have a lot of local support. Our local support is so big. And so just making sure we pay a little tribute back to Hayden when we can. And I think that just shows our roots. And it's funny, this is such a small town, but our company's growing so much. People think it's just a little Hayden thing around here, but it's now grown so much bigger than that.
And these have been a long time coming, so hopefully everybody got to watch our launch video that we posted today. And this has kind of been a passion project for Darian for years and years and years. And so
it's so cool to me that you can, like, the things that live on forever. That idea is so cool to me. Like, if, who knows if how long Y'all Sweet Tea will be around, but this glass jar, even if the company goes out of business, this jar will be somewhere. I think that is cool. No matter what happens, this to be able to outlive you me or whoever is just the coolest thing.
Well, I have some mason jars that are really vintage.
Yeah.
You don't even use them anymore.
Yeah.
I have some that are
You need to do a video
blue.
about that.
Yeah.
I do need to do that.
Show all your oldest jars. That'd be so
I think
cool.
so, and the lids,
Yeah.
how they've changed over the years. But these are true mason jars. They have mason on this side. It's not just some knockoff company. It's a mason jar, and that's perfect. But it'll be around a long time.
I know. It's very exciting.
the funny thing about mason jars to me is I feel like everybody in their life has found a mason jar in the woods somewhere. You're walking through the woods.
Every time you go to the woods, you find a jar.
I know, and it's half full of dirt. And I'm not saying I want anybody to bury our mason jar, but I just hope one day in 50 years
just put a little note
somebody
in there.
finds it in the woods.
Yeah, like a
I've been looking when you find a jar. I've never found a genie in a bottle or a note or anything, but I've been trying to put at least a note in one of our jars. That way,
If you find this,
call me. But it could be in 100 years when they find it. I don't know if it's littering, so I was gonna do that in a video. I don't know if that's considered littering. It's got to be considered littering, but like I was gonna put get a case of jars, tighten them. Put a note in it, maybe we all sign it, whatever.
It'd be a time capsule.
It should be a time capsule, but then what if you just chunk it? What if you chunk it somewhere? I think the chunk is the.
You gotta bury it a little bit.
yeah, you would. Y'all don't know about this because you're too young. These guys could be my grandsons, and
Yeah.
I'm as proud of them as I am my own grandsons. But I can remember when I was a little girl, my grandmother had what she called a smokehouse. They would smoke their meat and things like that, and then
At
on
their
one
actual
side,
house?
yes, on one side they had. That's where they would leave all of their canning jars.
That's cool.
Well, I've heard of people finding these old buildings out in the country, and they'll go in them, and there'll still be some jars with something in them. Of course, they take the whatever out, and that's an old jar.
Yeah.
The jars are keepsakes.
Yeah. You go searching some of those sheds around Hayden, though, it might be moonshine.
Oh, well.
I wouldn't go looking at all those buildings.
It could be.
So, but no, I think that's, like you said, that's so cool to have them that old, and especially if you could find a building that were like, there's a whole little room full of old jars. Is so neat.
And they had, back then,
We should build
they
one of
had
the wood
gallon
frame.
jars.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, gallon glass jars.
Half gallon.
Yep, with a little finger spout on top.
That's moonshine.
Yeah,
Nothing about
that's
moonshine.
the one I know about. That was my uncle. We can't talk about him. So this gets us to a cool spot. We started working with you, and I kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit, because actually Carrie is the one who found you. The first one that we found was Brenda.
Yes.
Out of coincidence that we found it, and then we started working with Missy second, and so we start writing down all these names. And the funny thing, I'm going to pull this up because I think it would be pretty neat to show you the actual list. It's going to take me just a second to find it. But.
Yeah, so if I remember correctly, Carrie's nanny watched you on Facebook, and so once we had Miss Brenda promoting our products, Carrie's nanny texted her and said, "Do you know about Mama Sue?" And Carrie said, "Well, I don't think so." And so she went and looked up your Facebook and then texted Darian and said, "Have y'all seen Mama Sue?"
Yeah.
And I believe
we
that's
messaged
how
you that day.
Yeah, I believe that's how it happened. So Darian writes notes on his iPad, and I bet he has
That's neat.
hundreds of pages.
Yeah.
of
That
notes.
is really neat.
It's
And
one of
he
the very
also
first.
draws designs.
Yeah, and it's
He
real.
drew the design on this.
Yeah. And most of the designs, if you see the drawing, they look like complete chicken scratch. I don't know how to make that pretty, but I know in my mind what I want it to look like. So I wanted to show you this. So this is page 1 of my notes ever, and at the very bottom it has find more cooking influencers: Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Jamie Oliver, Martha Stewart, Paula Dean, Barefoot Contessa, Rachel Ray, Mama Sue.
Oh my goodness.
That's the list that you're
Oh
with.
my goodness.
And I thought that was so cool because in the moment of this, like, we're looking at the top tier of people, and you're in that group of
I
6.
cannot. That's unreal.
funny.
I really think back when you first contacted me. I think I was really sick
Yep.
at that time.
And I wanted to jump into that without, obviously it's a sensitive subject for reasons. We did, but as soon as we reached out, if I remember correctly, it may have been months later that we reached out, because
Yes.
I think it was the day that Carrie told us about this. I go to your Facebook page, and that was the video that I saw, was your
Yes.
announcement. So I don't know if you want to start with that story. I think just start there, because that's when we heard about you.
Well, I started Mama Sue's page it was a God thing, because I never intended to have a cooking page.
Yeah.
On my personal Sue Garrett page.
So you're just regular.
a regular.
So what are you doing there? Like, you've already retired at this point?
I had
And you're
already
just
retired.
chilling
I
out?
was a school teacher, and I did other things. I worked at our church for a while. I was a mission and outreach director. But it was during COVID. There was a farm up above us that were selling boxes of vegetables, and they would take them like to Pepper Place and places like that to sell them. And on my page, I would put whatever we were having for supper that night. I would just make a picture of my plate. And folks said, "Oh, I love you doing this, because I'll decide next week that's what I'm going to have. I'll make my menu off of what you have."
And this is just church friends.
Church friends.
That's
Church
awesome.
friends. And the farm up above Vincent contacted me and said, "If we give you a box of vegetables, would you do a video as advertisement?" So they brought me green beans and okra and tomatoes and corn and things like that. I cooked it, and they shared it on their page, and people said, "Oh my goodness." So we started Mama Sue's Southern Kitchen, and the very first thing I did was a peach cobbler. And then they said a month later, "Do you have a cookbook? Do you have a cookbook?" I didn't. Now we have 3 cookbooks. That was in 2020, and in 2021, Miss Annie introduced me to Angela. She said, "You need some help." And Angela was going to do my social media. Well, God already knew I was going to need her, because 4 months later, I had no idea. Went for an annual checkup. They found I had an aggressive form of breast cancer, and I couldn't do anything. Angela did everything, and I knew I had to tell my viewers, because they were going to say one day I had hair, the next day I didn't. So I told them, and then you contacted me, and I don't even remember that year really.
I can imagine. I just think it's so neat. People, when you see someone on Facebook who's famous, and I think you've got 600,000 followers, you're like at that level now.
Considered.
Or 7, whatever the number is, a big number now. You don't realize that just 2020, that's 3 years ago, you're the regular person just at church. You're not like you already came from famous or TV or anything. Like, it's just, you were just retired and some church friend
And
just
I don't
said start
consider myself famous.
I do. A lot of people consider that, but we'll move past that.
I do not. Angela and I were we were out thrifting the other day.
Not famous, but has 3 cookbooks.
And this sweet lady said, "Are you Mama Sue?" And I said, "Yes." And she started talking, and she said, "Oh my goodness, you just don't know how happy I am to meet you." And I said, "I'm the same person as you are. I'm not famous. I just show you what I cook."
Yeah.
So when you started your cooking page, a lot of people will have like one video that will kind of go viral, and that's kind of how they started growth on their page. How long did it take that first year of you making videos? How many followers were you getting when you were making those videos that first year? Did it happen quickly, or was it a slow process?
Well, you know, I really wasn't looking. I didn't know what I was doing. And I did not notice how many followers I had, but I'll tell you this, this is the first cookbook. When they wanted it, I put it together, and I called the publisher and talked to them, and I said, "I think I can sell 200. And she said, "Well, you're going to get a much better price if you order 1,000. And I thought, well, okay. So I told my followers, I said, "I'm going to have a cookbook coming out, and if you will just let me know if you're interested, I'm not going to take any orders till they arrive." And so they came in, and I held it up, and I said, "The cookbook is here. You can order through Venmo or PayPal." That's the only 2 ways I had. And within 24 hours, I had sold 870.
Oh my goodness.
I thought, I'm in trouble. So I went ahead and I reordered, and we were so far behind by the time they came, and it just grew from that. It's amazing, and Angela has been a godsend, because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know to look for followers. Now I look to see, well, you know, and it's people from all over the United States, and even I did a live this morning before I got here, and Angela said, "There's someone from England." I said,
Wow.
"Boy, I bet I sound funny to her."
Yeah, our followers for the podcast, they don't, or maybe don't know Angela or haven't seen your pages. So she's basically just helping manage the day-to-day posting.
She is, and she takes care of getting the cookbooks out, because when I was sick, I couldn't do anything. She would run old videos of me cooking.
Just to have something going.
Just to have something going. The only...
Because you couldn't cook at all, hardly. You couldn't even really do it.
I couldn't smell the food.
Wow.
Couldn't eat. Couldn't smell it. And she kept videos going, and the only live videos that I did was when I was telling how I'm halfway through my treatments and all this.
Yeah, I think it was an interesting time, because, like I said, we were like, Carrie had told us to reach out, and we didn't, because immediately saw that video. So now we're just watching. We would love to work with you. We can tell that you're posting older videos. You're not filming. Like, you clearly don't feel good. And it's like, out of respect, cancer is extremely serious, and people handle it different ways. You used it to teach a lot of people and give a lot of like positive outlook on it, but you just don't know. So you don't want to cold call. You don't want to reach out for business during that time. So I kind of waited till things were on the up, or somewhat seemed like they were getting better. It was just very cool to see your followers, how they just...
Oh my goodness.
There was so much love on your page during that time. It was really cool.
They helped get me through that time. Every day, the number of get well cards and packages that I received, you know, we have a mailbox, and the postman drove down our little drive and blew the horn, and Harold goes out, and he comes in with a box like we would take packages to the post office, and it was packed full of get well cards. And I sat there, Harold would open them, and I would take them out, and I think in one day there was over 600 cards that came in one day. And I'll tell you what's so funny, we bought bins, and I have them in my storage building. I think, why did I save those? Because there's 3 bins stacked up, but they meant so much to me.
Absolutely.
I want to tell you something about the first time I met you too.
Oh boy, I remember it.
I do. I remember when they reached out to me, and I told them, yes, I would love to try, and it was delicious. I knew that it was the real thing. And I've told my followers, I'm not going to be an influencer for anyone that I don't believe in. It would hurt me if I said, oh, it's good, and it was horrible.
Sure.
But I had just talked to them and everything, and we were going to meet halfway. And we met at a McDonald's.
Yeah, in the pouring rain.
Yes, in the pouring rain. Well, these guys get out, and I don't know if you noticed my expression, but when y'all walked in, I know I had to go, these are young men. Yeah. You know, I thought, how is this going? These are, I want to say, just like my Greek kids. And then that's been 2 years. Yep. And you have gone from one brand of tea to 2 brands of tea to 3 brands
Yep.
plus coffee plus seasoning. I mean, everything is top notch. I'm as proud of y'all as
Well, thank you.
anything.
Thank you. I think it's interesting. Like me and Brandon being young, I think that's really cool because we do a lot of things together. We grew up together, and this has been us since we met. Like we're just always together, whatever it is. So now we've just got a new thing to do together, and it's really cool. But it's crazy. That was 2 years ago.
I know, can't believe it. 2 years ago. We have a picture of that. I believe it was on Darian's social media, but we need to find
Liz
it.
might be able to pop that.
Yeah.
I
We
do.
can see if Liz
I
can
have
put
a
it up on
picture
there.
of that too.
Yeah.
Had my little turban on my head because
Yeah.
I looked like Harold, my husband. Didn't have a hair on my head at that time.
So I think going back to that time period, we meet up with you then. Do you remember how many? Angela may know the answer to this question. So you started in 2020. What made you go? Because you start posting videos and it's just church friends. But what did that? Was it one video that did that, or was it Angela that did that, or had you already had that right before she started, or?
Well, Angela made ordering cookbooks easier for people.
Okay.
Because I only gave them Venmo and PayPal, and a lot of my followers don't
Didn't
do
have
that.
either.
They don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So Angela said, let's do credit cards. Let's do, make it easier. And in 1 month, everything started going up.
Wow, that's so cool.
And she's always thinking of things, and she keeps me going.
That's
I would
awesome.
have had to stop when I was sick.
Yeah.
Had it not been for her.
It's cool to just knowing, and we've met a bunch of different businesses, whether it's an influencer or another brand, like how many people it takes to run what we're trying to do. Even just making videos, it's a really hard thing.
It is.
And people are like, well, all you gotta do is cook. Well, there's a lot more that goes into it, and they don't I think a lot of people don't realize the editing time. Then the mental part of when do you post? Like in the morning, everyone's eating their breakfast, and they'll prop their phone up behind their plate while they eat. That's a good time to post. But their lunch break, maybe they're a little bit, annoyed with their day and they don't want to look at their phone. It's like just planning out those times and trying to figure out how do your followers think.
I never knew what goes into making a video, especially a cooking video.
Yeah.
We have to get out the lights at home. We have to do the camera. And at first we just had one camera, and then Angela said, you're going to have an overhead camera and all this. Well, it was really hard, and I don't do any editing. They do all of that.
Yeah.
But Ms. Annie and I have created a kitchen in our office,
That's awesome.
and it's making it so much easier.
So that's been pretty much all your new videos have all been out of the kitchen. So y'all can just set everything up and essentially just leave it how it is.
We
Yeah, just
can. Now, I will still do some at home, like a canning video, like I was canning tomatoes. I'm not going to bring all that to the office and do. And there will be some things, but the majority will be done there.
Yeah.
And it's so neat because Angela and Melissa just have all the ingredients ready for
Just
me.
ready.
I do feel like Paula did that day.
Yeah.
You walk on the set.
Yes, I mean, here it is. It's ready.
Yeah, I think that's definitely going to help, and you can tell the environment. Everybody seems the videos are flowing really good. The
Yes.
kitchen looks really, really nice.
Yeah, we just recently built out our kitchen here, and we're very excited about it. And I know one person that's going to be excited about it is Darian's wife.
Yeah.
Because anytime
Everything's
we make videos at Darian's
Everything
house,
goes
we
there.
leave such a mess,
I
and
know,
it's
and she has
it's so
to do
much. And so I know y'all are happy about that too.
Oh,
So your
so
house,
happy.
yeah, your kitchen probably is
And
happy
it looks so great. Miss Annie's husband and Miss Annie did the majority of the building of it themselves.
That's awesome.
I mean, we bought the cabinets, and Miss Annie painted them, and they installed them. They put the shiplap on the walls. It's really just
That's
they're
so
doing.
cool.
And Mama Sue, when I met you, you had the highest reach that you've ever had, so don't give me all the credit.
So how many followers did Mama Sue have when you met her?
Her page was, that really glitchy thing there.
Yeah.
Her page didn't show followers, it showed likes.
Okay.
So she had 73,000 likes.
And that was how long after?
Hey, that's what I have on Home with Mama Sue today.
That's true, you better
Dang.
not fire me.
So how
So-
long was that after she started her page?
Beginning of March,
And I started it
In 2021.
July, the end of July.
and she started July of 2020.
Okay,
So it's
So-
about 6 months.
Yeah. And then
And
when
then-
did you announce that you got breast cancer?
It was the end of July.
Okay. So we launched in April. Brenda made her first post on May 24th. So it took a month for Brenda to make a video. And then Missy we found probably sometime in the middle of June. So I think that we saw you probably the first 2 weeks of June was the first time we saw you. So maybe it would have had to have been later than that. We would have had to have seen you. So it would have even had to have been in probably July that we probably took that note.
You had 2 viral videos at the time. It was your strawberry cake and 7-layer salad. That's what.
How viral?
She had 8 million reach.
Wow. So you had 2 big videos in there.
You're gonna do them again?
Yeah, I would. I'd do it 4 or 5 times. It's Strawberry Week, boys. Go to the pumpkin patch and get your strawberries. So the Facebook thing has been really cool. You mentioned there was a fan that saw you in person, and I'm sure that happens more frequently now than ever, probably. And it's kind of an odd thing to get used to at first.
I was trying to not make a lot of eye contact because I'm not
Sure.
famous, and I feel so crazy.
Yeah.
But I know when I'm meeting somebody and they go,
Yeah, you can tell. When you notice that there's someone standing, whether you're checking out at a thing or like you're looking through a clothes rack, and I can tell that this person wants to come and talk, but they're kind of paused there waiting
I
awkwardly.
just smile at them and they say,
I want that. Like if you're here, like if you recognize me
Yes,
or whatever
I'm
the
going
situation,
to.
I appreciate that so much.
and I'll usually say, can I make a picture with you?
Exactly. Yeah. So like I think for the fans, like just come say hey.
They
If you
love it. The only thing that bothers me is I really don't feel like I'm any different than they are.
sure.
I just cook on Facebook.
And I think that's kind of inspiring to people who think, because there's a lot of people who cook really good, but they're just scared to pick up the camera or, well, I'm not famous yet, so I don't
Yes.
need to post it. Just put, like, if you know how to do anything, whatever your talent is, God gave you a talent, film it and just post it. Because just like you said, you were just a regular retired,
I mean, regular.
going to, like, just doing your thing, and now
And
you're...
I'm not in competition with these other cooks.
No.
I watch them, and
Yeah.
I learn from them. I want them to be able to say, oh yeah, I'm going to watch her and get this idea.
Yeah.
I think we really realized that working with a lot of influencers is it's not a competition. It's just a big community.
Yeah.
And in that community, I mean, we're all kind of just working together and making good videos and kind of creating a little family online of people cooking.
And we're going to have the opportunity soon to meet some of those influencers.
Yeah. We are having an event to meet a lot of people. Is that open to the public?
No.
By the way, camera, we're talking to Angel. She's behind the camera, but it's not open to the public. Definitely private. But y'all are inviting 20-ish people.
We
25
have
people?
25 that have confirmed that they're coming. We consider them Southern Cook.
Yeah.
And Angela, what's the name of our group?
Southern Cooking Creators.
Southern Cooking Creators.
That's cool.
Many people who are on there, and we just decided in our office we would like to host this and learn from each other, and
Sure.
maybe somebody might say, well, how did you do this or whatever, and that's coming up the end of this month on a Friday night and a Saturday, and we have people, I guess the farthest may be Arkansas that they're coming.
So we're going to be there. I think we're giving out food
On
and
Saturday.
a bunch of tea, and maybe we'll talk a little bit.
Yes.
Whatever we can talk about. But I think that's really cool. Like Brandon was saying, that it's not competition. You said the same thing. We don't live in an or world. We live in an and world now.
That's
Like
right.
you're consuming so much content when you swipe. There's plenty of room for me to watch your video and then watch
Yes.
Brenda's video and watch her video.
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna watch Brandon. He's doing Brandon as baking as a cooking channel.
It's
he's
coming
gonna start. And
Oh,
we're trying.
You want my strawberry?
They're trying to get me in
trying.
front of the camera more.
There's rude things, and it hurts. I mean, my mom always said, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all.
Yeah.
But if you don't like what I'm doing, maybe I'm not the
Not
one
for
you're
you.
supposed to be watching.
You can click unlike
That's
or
right.
unfollow.
That's right.
Just some people, I guess that's their thing, is to just comment back. The good thing for us is that actually fuels the algorithm, so we get more views, and so these haters are actually helpers.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so they
Well,
comment,
maybe
because here's
I-
what happens when someone says, I bet that strawberry cake tastes terrible on your video.
Yeah.
Well, then someone else says, oh, I bet it doesn't taste terrible.
Yes.
And then
yes.
someone else said, yeah, you're right, I bet it doesn't taste terrible.
So
Now
that's
you have your
good.
audience battling. And we want to say we appreciate those people who stand up for us.
Oh yes, we do.
Because there's a lot of those. Like I see it in your comments, we definitely see it in ours. It's like, well, I bet their peach tea doesn't even taste like peaches. And then somebody else comments, oh yes, it does. I can prove it. That's what we need. I love that.
Well, I didn't look at it that way.
See?
That's good.
Haters are helpers.
That's right. I know that some people it doesn't bother, but it does bother me when
Yeah.
somebody makes a kind of negative.
Some jabs are too far. You can poke, just don't stab me with the knife. You can poke me with it. Going back to the event before we wrap the podcast up. So 25 people coming in. Y'all are going to film, make a ton of content around this event, and just I guess fellowship, chit chat about how they're growing, and that's probably the first that all of those people have ever met.
Yeah.
Like you said, they all see each other on Facebook and watch videos, so it's going to be a really cool event. I imagine that's the end of September, so I imagine October is going to be a lot of that content coming out,
Yes.
so that'll be fun to watch.
Yes.
And there's a lot we can talk about, a lot that we want to talk about, but I think we should schedule another day to have another podcast where we can just come and talk
about
longer,
something.
even go back further in time to other things, maybe talking about the ideas that you had, those first conversations where people were pushing you to film.
Yeah.
I think talking about some of those will be really cool, but for the sake of today, I think that was a wrap. That was our first ever podcast. And all of you who are watching, wherever you're watching this podcast at, thank you for your time.
Yes.
If you're listening to it, if we have gotten technologically advanced enough to upload this audio version somewhere, thank you for listening. We are Y'all Sweet Tea. We don't know the name of our own podcast. This is episode number 1 with our extremely famous, super nice, superstar of a friend and family member, Mama Sue Garrett. We're very thankful. I know you're watching right now, probably at work, headphones in, you're pretending like you're working, but please give a round of applause to Mama Sue for joining us today. Thank you so much. If y'all like this video, please give it a like in the bottom. There's a share button depending on where you're at. You can
Yes.
share it, and so that other people can see it.
And go to my page if you're not a...
Mama Sue is cooking 3 times a week, right, still?
Yeah, I have 2 pages they can
2
go to.
pages. So we have all kinds of content. We're going to put it all in the caption down below so you can find whatever you want. Mama Sue's pages, our pages. And honestly, we're sipping on some really good sweet tea right now out of these brand new glass mason jars that we made. So a lot of things on our website as well, y'allsweettea.com. And that is it for episode number 1 of the Unknown Name Podcast. We're going to come up with a name, something probably trying to make clever, but who knows. Thank y'all for watching. We hope you have a great day. Let's get a cheers. Cheers. There you go. Cheers.